Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ambassadors of Gaming channel. I'm Ambassador Michael, and the PS5 game reveal event happened today. We're not really doing news as much anymore. Game MZC is retired. We're working on some new stuff. We're finalizing it. Hopefully be back in July. But anyways, so the PS5 had some reveals for games. They revealed the console, which is really nice. And I just want to go through, highlight some of these things, and then I also thought it's been a while since I kind of talked about PlayStation in general. I'm more of a PlayStation guy than an Xbox guy. I have all three, and so I wanted to talk about not only the reveal, but a little bit about their strategy. So I figured I'll just throw them all in one video, and we'll just get right into that. So let's start with the announcements first, and then we'll talk about Sony's plan. So I have everything here compiled by IGN, thankfully. So this is the console design. If you have not seen it, I feel like you should have at this point. I hate it personally. I really think both console designs are pretty terrible. I really hate how this has this like curvature to it. I don't like it. I think the DualShock is ugly, or the DualSense. Where's the... Oh, they're doing a discless model, which was not anticipated. This, I think, looks a lot better, but it does indeed look like a freaking modem. I hate it, but I'm going to end up getting this one just because if I want to buy a disc, I don't want to have to be precluded from it. And, you know, it is what it is. I don't want to have to worry about it in case I find a game on decent sale, an older game or whatever. I'll just chalk it up and eat the extra money for it. I'm sure the digital version will be cheaper. Xbox also was working on a digital version. We've discussed before. Everybody kind of is aware of that, but they haven't officially talked about it yet. So that may come later. Might not come at all. Who knows? So these are out of order. I guess probably SEO related. But Horizon 2 got announced. It looks really awesome. They didn't show any gameplay. We can just skim through it here real quick so you can kind of just see what's going on. It looks incredible. Pretty much everything from Sony Studios looks really great. But some of the other titles they showed off during this event were not so great. They opened with this, which was fucking crazy.
Your dad said that. Now it's your turn.
Doesn't look like Spider-Man 2. Obviously, we're not going to be playing as Peter probably very much during this. I get the feeling, now that I've sat on this for, it's been almost 3 hours. The reason why they did it this way is because people want to play as Miles, and it probably would have been too difficult to do two characters, two different skill trees, all that kind of stuff, having swappable, maybe do a split storyline. So instead they're just giving him his own game, which means, and this is coming out 2 years after the other one. So to me, what that implies is that this is going to be built on the same map. That's my guess. And then they're just adding some weather effects and stuff like that, and then adding in obviously some new enemies, perks, abilities, and Miles' suits, I assume. And that looks really good. Resident Evil 8 was announced near the end. It looks really fucking crazy. I'm very excited for that. The werewolves, not so excited for, but Chris is back, which is much welcomed. Again, I don't want your ads, man. I'm not even... Alright, we're not even gonna watch this. So, Chris is back, which is fucking crazy. He looks like Chris. He looks really grizzled. He looks like he's been through some shit since we've seen him in Resident Evil 6. So, very excited for them to tie all that together. That looks really good. PS5 exclusive, 2021. This is assuming a launch game or within the launch window. Horizon's 2021, I think. No, they didn't announce it, so probably 2021, maybe 2022. Gran Turismo 7, it looks really pretty. It looks fun if you're into racing games. I'm not too about it, but teach their own. A new Ratchet and Clank game, it looks really great. This seemed like the only game that actually might use the SSD in the way that people say they will. We'll just skim through it real quick. So you can kind of see he's constantly jumping in between these maps. Obviously, these are smaller sections. But yeah, I think this will be the first one that really shows how good the SSD can be. I'm not on the whole hype train with the SSD. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on that one, fam. I'm not about it. It's really not for me. So we're just gonna kind of have to see how that goes. Demon Souls remake, a lot of people are gonna be really excited about this. I don't really care about Souls games anymore. I liked Bloodborne, I thought it was decent. I didn't play Sekiro, and I barely played Dark Souls 3. Justin got it for us, and I just, not really my thing. But this looks pretty, it looks really cool, I like the style. They showed off more Deathloop. I love Arcane, I love their map design. I think they're really, really talented at map design, though their gameplay could be polished a bit. This looks like it's more toned down in comparison to Dishonored, which is nice, but the gameplay still may be something where I may be put off by it. NBA 2K21, great, it's a sports game. If you care about that, good for you. This is the one that kind of was, first of all, they started out with this, which is really fucking bad. GTA 5 should not be sold again. It's the highest profited game ever made. Like, Rockstar doesn't need any more money. They made the most amount of money on anything ever made ever on an entertainment product. So they don't need to sell this again. They're going to, but they don't need to. And they're going to give you GTA Online for free, I guess. Ooh. It was already free. Cool. But then you're going to have to buy the game again. And I guess it's expanded, so at least there's that. But they're probably going to charge you $40-$60. I'm not paying $60 for GTA 5 again. That came out on PS3. Stop. Stop this shit. The DualSense, they showed off a little bit of the features, but not really. It's just like a little weird demo type thing where you can kind of see what's going on. This is one of those things where I don't really controllers are one of those things you have to hold. You have to hold it, you have to feel it, you have to play with it to understand whether or not it's good or whether or not it's for you. I think this thing's ugly as hell. It looks super slippery. It doesn't look comfortable at all. I may be completely wrong though. I may get it, and I may love the triggers, I may love the feedback, I may love all of it. Who knows? But right now I look at it and I'm like, this thing's fucking hideous. Those buttons look like they're made of glass, which normally I would think would look really cool. But I like the color scheme of the PS4 controllers and every other controller before that. I'm sure they will come up with other editions, and eventually we will get a color scheme and blah, 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 blah. But as of right now, meh. Meh. That's how I feel about it. I wish they would do a Spider-Man PS5. If they did a Spider-Man PS5, I'd be all about that shit, but they're not going to, because it's going to be a launch game probably. So, but if they did a black and red one for that game, I'd be on that shit in a heartbeat, for sure. Sackboy, I actually really think this is probably pretty good. To me, what I saw, initially when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is like their Yoshi game. Like, Nintendo has the Yoshi games that they put out on Switch and Wii U, and this really, really looks like something like that. It obviously harkens back to Little Big Planet and stuff like that, but honestly, it just looks like a Yoshi game. It's a cool, fun, family friendly type of game, but meh. Teach their own. It's not something I'm gonna buy unless like my wife or something wants to play it, and she's really not into games all that much, so meh. Hitman 3 actually looks really, really cool. The graphics look really, really nice, but meh. I'm not in Hitman. Ghostwire actually looks really cool. It's very Japanese. I can just kind of play it real quick. This was another one of the highlights. All the first party stuff I pretty much thought were highlights, except for one or two things. Like Astrobots is gonna be on here. Meh. They're really pushing Astrobots as like this thing, and I kind of get it, but at the same point I'm like, meh. I don't really care. So, but this looks cool. I hope it's not as hard as The Evil Within, because The Evil Within is like way more difficult than it needs to be just for the sake of being difficult, and I never end up beating the first one because it lets you just fuck yourself, and I fucked myself, and I was like, yeah, I'm not replaying this whole game, sorry. You got me fucked up. Godfall, personally, this game looks like the PS5 Order 1886. It looks like it's gonna be really pretty, but it looks boring as hell. That's just my take. Everything I've seen from it has shown me nothing. It just looks kind of like a poor man's God of War, and I'm not saying that to like be mean to the developers or anything. I think this is obviously crafted well. There's attention to detail. Everything looks really pretty, so it's not like they didn't take the time or energy into it. I could be wrong. This could be really fun, but it just looks like a standard arena action adventure game. Meh. I don't really care. If you're into loot grinding and it's like a Diablo type thing and that's what you want to do, cool, go for it. This I have no idea. I watched it and I have no idea what it is. So I mean, I'm not gonna really, I mean, if you want, I'll skim through it because I stopped watching because I was at work while this was happening. So this is about as far as I got. He finds this little girl and then she does some weird shit and then this happens. That thing falls out of the sky. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a Kojima game for a second. I think the simulation broke. I'm not really sure. It's a Capcom game. That's all I know. This is another Astrobot game. I actually thought that the first playroom was free. I think it was free. And it was really good. I guess this one's free too, so I guess I can't complain as much as I wanted to. It's fun. It's a fun little mini game type thing. It's cool that it's free, but it's like I saw this after when I saw the second game, and I was like, do you really need 2 of these? Like, you already have second. Like, do you need another platform action game? Like, do you really need another one? Like, really platformer? I mean, it's free, so I'm not gonna complain. If you don't want to buy Sackboy and you want to buy this, go for it, I guess. Oddworld. This I'm really excited for. It looks really, really good. I really liked the reboot of Abe's Odyssey. I thought that was really well done. It was really fun. It was definitely worth the money. I think they nailed the price point. The aesthetic looked really cool. The graphics were really nice on it for a side scroller. And this just looks like that. With a better budget, with more ambition, more time put behind it. And so I'm all for it. It looks good. It looks good. I'm ready for more Abe. I think they had I swear that this was one that was more RPG centric. This is Housemarque's next game, Returnal, which I think is a terrible name. I've seen other people say they think it's a good name and a fun name, but I think it's a fucking terrible name, and I like puns. I get it. The whole point is that you are returning eternally, but like, bro, come on, dude. That's like some shit a 6-year-old says. Like, it's just not an interesting title.
Even
but
death
whatever,
is
teach
no
their own.
escape.
The game actually looks kind of cool, but it's definitely one of those games where it would be fodder for me. It would just be something to pick up on PS5 while I'm waiting for something else. But at this point, I'm kind of past doing that, and I'd rather just go back and play old games I haven't played before that are good. And not that I'm saying that won't be good, but I'm saying I would rather go back and play games that I know for sure people told me to go play. This is some weird derby arena game. It looks nice. It looks like it might be fun. If they hit the right price point on this, it could be really fun. Like, if this is like a $30 game or something, probably justify picking it up. It looks interesting enough. But other than that, I don't really have much interest in it. This is pretty much the whole thing. You drive around in cars, but your car is cool, and then I assume you run around, and then once you're out, you're out. Whoever last man standing wins, or last team standing wins, I think. That's what it seems like. It's very hero shooter oriented. Project Athia is apparently a Square Enix exclusive for PS5. I think this is the remnants of that weird game that we talked about in Eternity ago, even on a phone friend, I think. And it is the remnants of the project from Luminous. Because the art style is very reminiscent of like Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons type style, Bloodborne, Souls-esque. It looks really cool. The gameplay is really interesting looking. The environments look really cool. This game's gonna come out in eternity from now, after Final Fantasy 16 and Kingdom Hearts 4 or Final Fantasy Remake Part 2. This is a game about being a cat, which I actually think is cool. I feel like I've heard about this somewhere before. I'm probably wrong, since this is where it was just revealed. But I feel like somebody's talked about this recently, like, oh yeah, you should make a game where you play as a cat. And I don't know what it's about. It looks like you're a cat smuggling something. Maybe they're like a messenger cat. Maybe you're a drug dealing cat. I don't know, but it looks cool. Looks interesting enough. I like the robot world. Kinda Badge of Spear, or Bridge of Spears, not Badge. I think this is a really nice PS2 looking type game, but at the same point, yeah, it just looks like a nice like B tier game. I think this would be something that's probably pretty good if you're just in between for something you're really in the mood for that like old school action adventure type Jack and Dexter game. That's really what I think that's about. Goodbye Volcano High is a weird anthropomorphic animal creature game. This actually looks kind of cool, but to be honest, the animals and the internet doing this to animals for so long has actually turned me off to this. So while it looks cool and somewhat interesting, and the art design is actually really nice, I'm gonna have to say no.
But if we've got nothing else to lose,
as you can see,
might as well jump.
It looks cool. Can't do it. I have no idea what this was. I watched it and I still had no idea what it was. So skip. Let's see. Pause that. Solar Ash. This is the next game from Hyper Light Drifter developer. 2021. It looks okay. It looks like something similar to Hyper Light Drifter. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about this game. I don't know anything about Hyper Light Drifter. I never played it. I was always told it was really good. I'd seen a lot of things that said it was really fun and really good, but I know nothing about it. So, but this game looks cool. It looks pretty. Probably another one I'll skip because it looks like these are all PS5 games, and if they're not cross-generational, then I'm good. Like I don't want to keep buying these types of games if I'm trying to save for whatever, because we don't even know if next-gen games are going to be $60 or if they're going to be $70 or what. Little Devil Inside. I didn't really think this was that interesting, but it looked like the art style kind of reminded me of Hello Neighbor. It looks very weird. Like I don't really, some of these games I don't really know how to describe to you because there's not really any gameplay. There's just announcements. So like that's kind of why I didn't really want to do E3 reveal stuff anymore, because it's just like, cool, this game looks cool, or this game doesn't look cool. Like you can watch the trailers yourself and you will make the determination yourself if you think this is cool or not. Like the art style is cool. Some of the enemies look cool, but that's about it. That's all I really got to say on that. This is Bug Snacks by the people who made Octodad. It's wacky, basically. All the creatures are animals and also food, and apparently the people are also turning into food. And yeah, that's it. It's wacky. It's one of those weird fucking games. So, I guess that's about it. So that's it on the reveal side. I guess I'm gonna pop up the PS5 hard. I thought there was a video. There is. Okay, so I'll pop up this video for a second. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. We'll just talk to the people directly. So one of the things that I have a big problem with Sony, after, even before this event and kind of after, is not only their messaging, but everything they've done up to this point for PS5 has done nothing to give me any sort of confidence that they know what they're doing, that they have a plan, or that their plan is good. So right now the impression I'm under is, okay, we're gonna let the weight of PS5 games carry whatever wrongs we did on the policy and hardware side of PS5, because they refuse to talk about it. Xbox hasn't done that. Xbox is very confident about their hardware. They keep talking about it. They keep showcasing it. But PS5 doesn't. They don't really want to talk about the hardware. And when they do talk about it, they only specifically talk about the audio sections, the 3D, and the SSD, and how it's super ventilated. And that's pretty much it. Like, otherwise, I haven't really seen anything, and I try to keep up on gaming news almost every day. So, to me, that's not a good sign, because what that means to me, every time Sony does that shit, the shoe is about to drop. They're about to do some bullshit. And they're about to make me mad, and everybody else mad. Like, they did that with Vita. They did that with PS3. And on PS4, the last bad news they really dropped was that backwards compatibility wasn't a thing. And that's it. Like, at least with PS4, that was like the only major drawback, was like, okay, there's no backwards compatibility. But Xbox didn't do backwards compatibility either at launch. So it wasn't a negative just for them. They were both getting hammered for it, which in my opinion, from a brand's perspective, is really good, because if your opponent is doing, or your competitor is doing the same thing you're doing, then you're both at fault for the same thing, and nobody's going to be like, well, you're doing it better. Whereas this generation, Xbox is like, yeah, everything's backwards compatible, why wouldn't it be? And Sony's like, maybe. And I was just talking about this with Adam, and I don't know if what they intended to say was, we don't know if PS4 games will be backwards compatible with PS5, but that's how it came across. That's how everybody's taken what they said. Whether or not that's what they intended to say, that's how it came across. And so their branding and marketing by this piecemeal has not been good, because they keep explaining things poorly, and then when they elaborate on it, you don't trust them because you came out the gate with information that was confusing. Like, either just say straight up yes or no, and then elaborate from there. Like, Sony came out and was like, we're testing it on a case-by-case basis when they did that hardware breakdown. And he spent like 40 minutes talking about audio mostly. Okay. So, why? Why even bother talking about it? At that point, be like, we'll have news later about backwards compatibility. Don't even talk about it. Not worthwhile at all. Even if that was his GDC talk, he knew that that was going to be broadcast. Sony knew that was going to be broadcast and that everybody was going to watch it, and not just developers. Just cut that part out. You can cut that part out of a speech. That was like 2, maybe 3 minutes. And they showed the PS3 architecture and hardware from when it was backwards compatible through hardware, whereas the Xbox One is backwards compatible through emulation. It's not built into the hardware. They just figured it out. And if you watch the Phil Spencer video, you know that he spearheaded that. The head of their company spearheaded that, because he was working on it originally with somebody else, and then was like, now that I'm in charge, guess what? We're digging that shit back up because I want it and other people want it and our customers are demanding it, and it's free. We can do it for free for them. And maybe we'll make a little bit of extra change on some of the old games that people want to go back and buy. Not much. You can buy them for like $6. So like, whatever, $6 is $6. But if you're buying 100 used games for $6, that's $600 they weren't getting from you before. So, whereas now Sony's just like, yeah, no backwards compatibility. Maybe PS4, maybe, we'll see, because whatever the fuck we did with the system architecture and the SSD, the game won't just be able to download and play. You just can't do it. So, like, the problem is not only the hardware, it sounds like, but also the branding. But my main issue is the branding. I don't really have an issue with the hardware because we don't really know all that much, because they don't want to talk about it. So, with all that set aside, the focus is mostly on the branding and just like, okay, here's piecemeal, here's piecemeal, here's piecemeal. With the price, I kind of understand. Xbox and them are kind of in the same boat at this point, where, all right, we've revealed the console, we've revealed some games, and we've talked about the system and the specs. We've shown some gameplay, not a lot. Both of them have been very, very tepid with their gameplay reveals. They do the gameplay reveal, but it's like a cinematic gameplay, like thrown together, like very specifically edited. Like, I edit videos. People on the internet watch edited content all the time. That shit is easy to pick apart. And rightly, Xbox got pretty ripped for it when they did it. And so, to be fair, really the one they got ripped on was the Ubisoft one. And that was their fault. That wasn't really Xbox's fault. And then lastly, on the price point at least, I get that they're waiting for each other, but my thing is that with Xbox, they've said it's fairly competitive, or they feel it's fair, and Sony's been more like, yeah, we think people will be willing to buy it, is kind of how it's come across to me. Sony said the same shit with the PS3, and they were charging $500-$600 in the middle of a recession. And now PS5 is going to come out, and it may or may not come out in the middle of a US recession. Don't know what to tell you. Don't want to talk about politics. I'm not getting into that here. It's just important to the landscape of buying a console. They're expensive. And if you're in the middle of a recession, you can't buy a new console because you don't have $500-$600 lying around. You just don't. And so that's why most people weren't able to afford them at the beginning. and then economic growth happens, and then people can buy stuff. So until that happens, they may see hurt console sales too, especially since they're launching worldwide. So that may offset it a bit. I don't know what Xbox's plan is. I think they're launching worldwide too, but I haven't seen anything to confirm that. I know for sure Sony said that. So at least they can offset it in Japan and in the rest of the world by getting those sales in on launch day. But it's bad timing for this type of stuff to happen to them. But it's just, you have to contextualize, at least in the US, the launch and what that's going to be like. So now that we've seen games, I've always felt that Sony was going to be strong on the game side because PS3 had pretty strong first party, PS4 had pretty strong first party. I had just made a reasonable assumption that PS5 would have a strong first party. And Xbox seems to have learned from their past and is trying their best to make their first party games much better and much bigger instead of just prettier 360 games, bigger 360 games. And when I say that, I specifically mean Gears 4 and Halo 5. That's what I specifically mean. Like, Gears 5 is way, way better. Like, significantly better than any of the other first-party games that I've seen. Or played, to be honest. I haven't played very many. And so, yeah, I don't know. We don't even have a release date yet. And, like, again, that might be due to the economic stuff. That might just be due to Sony's plan. We also don't know how PlayStation Plus is going to work on the PS5, because with PS4, you got free games every month. We are not getting free games every month now on PS3 anymore or Vita. So we don't know anything about PSVR and how that's going to work on PS5. They said it's going to work. Obviously, I assume you can just plug it in the same way you do now, but I don't even use mine. Probably going to get rid of mine, to be honest. So it's stuff like that where, like, they don't consider these types of things, and it's just very weird to me. Like, I'm pretty sure they said that I could be wrong, but I know that in some way or another, the DualShock 3 and the DualShock 4 had some capability with each other, and with the PS3 and PS4, you could use one of them backwards or forwards. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that there was some interchangeability in between that. That's not going to happen with PS5 and PS4 as far as I'm aware. And then lastly, my one big complaint about games and branding and their plan is that I understand that, like, they need to transition people off PS4, but they're not okay with easing people in the way Xbox is. Like, Xbox is like, yeah, we're just going to ease people and we're going to release games on both systems, and obviously the better version will be on the new console. Like, it'll be prettier, run faster, it'll be better. Whereas Sony's just like, yeah, and we're not doing that. We're just totally ditching the PS4. So if you want new games from us, you got to buy them on PS5. You got to drop the $600, $700, whatever it is. I'm going to take a guess and say it's probably $6. I'm going to guess that it's $6 for the disc one and $5 maybe for the discless. Which I think for the discless, $500 is probably reasonable. I don't think they can go any higher than $6, honestly. But yeah, there's so many things that are unanswered that are really important that their competitors talking about. I know that this will eventually be covered, but one of the things Sony does is when they have bad news or news that will not be friendly to their consumers, they sit on it for a very long time until they get you, like, right before, like 2 months or a month before release or a week before release. They do that type of stuff. And even with games, they've delayed games like 2 weeks out from when they're about to release. When they're like, yeah, we know the game's supposed to come out in 2 weeks, but it's delayed. Like, that's their MO. Their MO is, if we have bad news, we're just going to tell them as late as humanly possible. And that's what worries me when you study them and you follow them for a long time. That's just seems to be what they do. And Xbox kind of does the same thing, don't get me wrong, but they're usually a lot better about communicating stuff up front. At least this generation with Phil Spencer, they've been. And that's what I'm basing this also off of, their behavior this generation, because they both had changes in leadership, and there's been a significant change since Jim Ryan took over. And I like some of his changes. I don't like some of his changes. And right now he's the head. He's making most of the shots, not all of them, but he gets the final stamp on a lot of things. So that's really important, and the responsibility kind of lies on him. Not all of it. You know, Mark Cerny takes some, Shu takes some. What's his name? Herman. I forget his. I can't remember if that was his first or last name. The guy that runs Worldwide Studios now after Sean Lin was fired. So the responsibility lies with all of them, but this is just my concerns about it. Really, they've just been very weird and nebulous about everything, and they've talked so vaguely about things, and that usually means that they don't have very positive things to say. Now I could be wrong, and they could totally just be like, boom, here's some bullshit, we win, we're done, like, you can walk away. But that's not really Sony's MO. That's not really how they've ever been. Maybe they're holding something and waiting for Xbox to drop a shoe to like really kind of put a knife in their side, but we'll just have to see. Anyways, I'm not gonna eat up too much more time because I've pretty much hit the end of my thought train here, and there's not much more to go on. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Ambassador Michael. Goodbye.